Hi! Sorry if you're on YouTube. I'm sorting out my audio situation. Stop! Delete. Delete. Cool. Right. Here we go. Hi, I'm Grace. You're here with me on episode 2 of Naked.Graced. You're a beautiful, special, unique soul, and I'm so grateful that you're here. Just a heads up that today's topic is going to be very, very heavy. So yeah, trigger warning for a lot of us. And if you're wondering why the fuck is a Christmas tree up in November, for those of you who are watching on YouTube, I just fucking love Christmas. And in writing today's episode, I realized why Christmas was so special to me. And it's actually the anniversary of the day I decided to end things with my abusive ex. So yeah, today's topic is abusive exes and the trauma that it leaves on us even years after it's over. And it really has been years. Yeah. So I'm just gonna start off by saying I'm no angel. I've done a lot of fucked up shit in my life. And at the end of a 3-year-long relationship, I no longer recognized myself in the mirror. I had gained 75. I had gained 75. I gained 20 kilograms, and I was 75 kilograms. Not that the weight mattered, but it was just really unhealthy, and the speed at which I gained it was also really unhealthy. And the reasons for why I gained it was the most unhealthy. It was because I was in an abusive relationship. Yeah, and I also didn't recognize who I was inside, and I'm not proud of the actions that I did. So by the end of the relationship, I was so angry, jealous, insecure. I had such low self-esteem. I didn't think of myself as valuable whatsoever. I didn't see myself as worthy. And yeah, so I did some really uncool things. I was once so overcome with rage and anger that I shoulder charged him to kind of get a response because he was refusing to answer my questions. And then we both fell into a very flimsy toilet door which broke. I'm sorry I did that. In another situation, I was also so angry because he wouldn't respond with any answers about where he was or why he had kept me waiting for 6 hours that I slapped him across the face. And that was not cool. No matter how angry one is, no matter how frustrated or annoyed, we shouldn't be hitting anyone. Okay, I'm just gonna say that first. And I'm not proud of myself for doing that. I'm sorry if you're listening or if your wife is listening. I'm sorry, I did that. That's not cool. If I could turn back time, I wouldn't do that to you or anyone. The other thing that I'm not proud of was for abandoning my dog. I had to give him up because I was so depressed. I was doing a lot of self-destructive behaviors, and I wasn't a good friend, I wasn't a good daughter, and I really wasn't good to myself, and I just didn't have the capacity to take care of another being. And so I'm sorry that I had to give up Chino, and I'm also sorry to my housemates for the way things ended when we lived together, and for you having to witness the worst of me. That's not my best, that's not who I am, and that is certainly not who I am today. It did take years of work and time in therapy for me to be able to forgive myself for who I became and all the things I did in the time leading up to that. It also took me a lot of time to find peace. That just because I'm not proud of that part of my story or my history, or because I was in that relationship for so long when I could have left. It's part of my truth, it's part of my story, and I'm not gonna be ashamed of it anymore. I regret the person I became, but that part of my story led me to become who I am today. So I will take that. Yeah. So also I came across Brene Brown's research where she found that people who live the most wholehearted life, which is my goal right now, to live the most wholeheartedly as possible, because anytime you might die. The people who live the most wholehearted lives were the people who believe that everyone was doing the best that they can. Everyone is doing the best that they can with what they have right now. Even my ex back then, even myself back then, we were both doing the best that we could with what we had. It just wasn't right. It just wasn't right to me, and what I did upon others was also not right. What I did to him was also not right. So yeah, I'm just gonna address that first. Okay, so how did I get into an abusive relationship? I actually saw the red flags in like the first 1 month. His ex, bless your heart, reached out to me and sent me a screenshot and basically kind of like said, hey, like, be careful, watch your back, you know. And in hindsight, I now see that she was trying to help me and she was trying to help a girl out. I'm sorry I didn't take your advice. I'm sorry that I saw you as competition instead of support. When you knew him so much better than I did by then. Yeah. And I knew I was a rebound. It was so quick after that relationship. I knew I was a rebound, but all I wanted was to be loved and valued and accepted and wanted. Because right at that point in my life, I had just left church. And I spent 20 years plus in church where all of my friends are there, all of my family members are there. I spent 6 days a week in church. And when I left, it was a major shock to everyone. I spent 3 years fighting my parents about it. And in all that time, I lost my entire faith, friends, family, support system, routine, home. Like, I was literally just lost, and I just wanted someone I could cling on to and someone to make me feel like I am still loved, you know. And so that was the person I clung on to, even though I could already see the flags like ding 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 ding, like way early. I still kept on to it. Yeah, and I was very young. I was in my like 20, 21. Your brains aren't even fully developed till you're 25, just FYI. So like, yeah, with my underdeveloped brain, we lost everything, holding on to this guy. And these were some ways that were the red flags for me personally. He would self-harm to manipulate me into doing what he wanted. I will not go into details. Essentially also isolated me by cutting me off from my friends and family. I wasn't really like allowed to see my friends, but he was. Yeah, and he was regularly late, like 3 to 4 hours late. Sorry, for our dates or even to come home. So sometimes I would clean the house, get the like date made, make dinner, and then sit around and wait for him to come home to eat with me. And it would be like a 3-hour wait, and then he would stumble home like drunk, and that happened quite a few times. He also did that to friends, so I think that wasn't very cool. But again, he was doing the best with what he could, and I think he was going through things that none of us understood or spoke to him about. So yeah, that was that. He constantly made me feel like I couldn't trust him. I think when someone is like always that late, you never know, and you're always kind of on eggshells. You never know like what's going on, and there was always kind of a wall up that I just couldn't trust this person. And when we were drunk on nights out, you know, when we were young, partying with our friends, he'd shove me into walls or grab me really hard, and there were like bruise marks. And yeah, that was like quite scary in hindsight because anything could have happened. And later on, I'm gonna share some stories that are genuinely very shocking as well, and also shows you how what's that word? how many people go through abusive relationships that we don't talk about? Yeah, and for those of you who shared, thank you so much. You are very, 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 very brave. Yeah, and I think the last point was that he painted me as this like psycho girlfriend to all of his friends and to my friends as well. And to be honest, maybe I was a psycho girlfriend, but I'm not a psycho wife now, and I know that I'm not who I was. How do I say this? Who I was back then is not who I am now, and I wasn't the best version of myself. Yeah. So yeah, that's that. Okay. I am so much to, yeah, it's just so much to put into words. I had to write this down. We usually just blabber off the top of my head, but this is a bit serious. Why didn't I leave? Firstly, I thought that, you know, I could change him. And the truth is you can't, because, yeah, like, my grandpa was an alcoholic abuser. It wasn't an alcohol, my grandpa was an abusive, guys. My grandpa was an abusive alcoholic, and he also abused my grandmother, and my mom and her sisters had to watch that and had to endure that. That was really fucked up. And I didn't believe anymore that anyone else could love me. I just didn't believe that I was lovable, especially since I gained all that weight, and then I thought like, oh, beauty is pegged to how you look, and your desirability is pegged to how you look, and I also honestly felt so small. Like, I didn't trust my own opinions, I didn't trust myself, I didn't trust anyone, and that was also, yeah, like a big reason why I didn't leave him, because I didn't think I could do better. And we were also living together, and if I had dumped him, which I did, I would have to pay twice of the rent, and I was earning like, if you're in advertising, you know we were earning like what, 2+K, and my rental was like 1.4K. So every month was so desperate. Yeah. So I eventually left when I sat down with my best friend, thank you, Linin, and we did the math and realized that, okay, if I did take over the rent and if I cut down on all the rest of my spending, I could barely scrape by every month, and I would literally be living paycheck to paycheck. I even racked up some credit card debt. But I also had these like amazing friends who supported me, and my housemates who stayed with me while I cried on the balcony at our house. Yeah, so basically the reason why the Christmas thing is here, I realized how much I love Christmas because on Christmas Eve, he was meant to come home by midnight so that he could rest before our long road trip to KL the next day for Christmas. And he didn't come back till like 6 a.m. in the morning, and I could see that he read all my messages because it was like blue tick on WhatsApp. He ignored all my calls, and eventually I realized that the call tone wasn't a Singapore call tone, it was an overseas call tone. I went to look at our passport drawer and his passport was missing. So he essentially left the country and didn't even like let me know about it. And as I was waiting there crying on Christmas Eve, I realized that, like, why the fuck am I crying on Christmas Eve when Christmas is my favorite time of the year? It's my favorite holiday. It's the only holiday that I really like because Chinese New Year feels like a bit of a chore. Yeah, so like Christmas for me was so special, and I was so upset that I was so upset during Christmas. You know what I mean? And I think it's so funny that that was the thing that tipped me over the edge, where I was like, I cannot be this sad on Christmas, and I deserve better. I deserve to be happy at least on Christmas. Come on, man, it's Christmas. And that's why I love Christmas so much, and that's why we're filming here with the Christmas tree in November. Yeah. So what I learned from the relationship was that I forgive him. I forgive him, I forgive myself. We were both doing the best we could with what we had back then. I also learned to set standards for myself, and thankfully have learned lessons along the way to meet the man I'm married to now, who is amazing and treats me like a queen. and he is ultimate king. Yeah. And I also learned to take responsibility. I also learned to take responsibility for my own emotions and my actions that are a result of the emotions. And that I also learned that I'm worthy of love just as I am, exactly as I am. I'm worthy of love, and I'm valued, and I deserve better. Yeah. And also, after that relationship, I really wanted to learn how to defend myself, which is also how I got into boxing. It's how I got into jiu-jitsu, and why I'm so I love martial arts so much, and why I'm into contact sports. I just feel like if I ever face anything like that again, I want to be able to take a hit and defend myself. But now I also want to learn, or now I've also learned that I should not have to want to defend myself, especially in my own home and with my own partner. So yeah. I'm just gonna read through some stories from other people, and it breaks my heart every time. So yeah. So when I ask, people were abused in different ways. It's not just always physical. There's emotional and mental abuse, verbal abuse, physical abuse, sexual abuse, and even financial abuse, which is a thing. I asked, what were the red flags? What were the red flags that you noticed? So this one person said, sadly, I did not notice the red flag for the 2 sexual abuses, but the one who emotionally and verbally abused me, a different guy, went on for about 8 to 9 months before I started noticing, wait, what is happening to my self-esteem? I didn't even know I was being gaslighted then, and there wasn't even the word gaslight back then. Thank goodness for language right now to help us put into words how we feel and what we were going through. Another person said that abusive language was strongly escalated to physical violence. He promised a lot of things that he did not fulfill, and there was always some excuse to not visit or to not return money, etc. Another person said love bombing and mood swings after. I totally relate with that, where there was maybe a bad episode that happens, and then suddenly you receive so much love and so much comfort, and it makes you feel like, oh, he does love me, he does want me, and then the cycle kind of repeats itself. Another person said he didn't care about my feelings, I wasn't valid. He made sure I knew that I could always do better and that there was someone better out there for him. He was also a judo champion, and that's a very, very scary thing for a girl to know. Firstly, that you are outclassed by weight and size, but also by skill level. Thank you for sharing your story, you are so brave, all of you. Another person said isolation, never lets me go out or talk to my friends or even her friends. Threats of violence, hurting herself, and breaking objects to get what she wants. I also resonate with you, someone else also said, this really broke my heart. Had overwhelming restrictions, like I have to eat with my mouth closed, I have to sit down properly, I cannot always check myself in the mirror in public. Guilt tripped me by saying he did what he did because he loved me. Stopped me from doing all my hobbies, so I grew fat and unhealthy. All I did was eat and smoke. He wanted me to be the kind of woman that I am not. Tell me how I should dress up, how I couldn't express myself through dressing up. Used religion to control me. Kept telling me that I wouldn't find another person like him, and if I leave, I'm just like all the shit women that left him despite all he did was love. Oof. Baby. Someone else also mentioned love bombing, the absolute change post love bombing. Yeah. Sweetheart. This person said, I thought I'm going crazy by how he spins my perception. When I went back to school, when I structured his arguments like a school thesis, I realized that he didn't ever have supporting examples, and I began clearly to see how he twisted information around. I then next asked, what were there lasting effects that the abuser had on you? So for me, personally, I still get nightmares 8 years later, believe it or not. And sometimes I still don't believe that I'm worthy of love, and then I have to sit myself down, sit with my feelings, and remind myself again that I am beautiful, I am worthy, I am valued, and who I am inside is so unique. My story is my story, it is a unique one, and there's no one else in the world like me. Like you. So here were their responses to what the effects are. So this person said, my first encounter with sexual abuse was when I was 15. I'm so sorry. And the first time happened multiple times. The first time it happened at a secluded stairway at Plaza Singapura. After the relationship ended, it was difficult for me to even visit the mall. And for the 3 to 5 years later, I avoided the area near the stairway because I started to get mild anxiety attacks. The second abuse happened in my 20s, and it was with penetration. I not only had to bring myself to a free clinic to get checked while bearing the stares of the men there, I didn't believe real men who don't treat women like prostitutes exist, and that went on for about 1 to 2 years. Needless to say, I treated my body and myself like I am the dirty one. I even feared getting into a car with a man like Brad Pitt or sitting in the front passenger seat. I'm so sorry. That fucking sucks. I'm so sorry that happened to you. Yeah, I'm so sorry. There are no words. I'm just so sorry that happened to you. Someone replied PTSD and had to go to therapy. See, 100% changed the way I view people a lot. I distanced myself away from people. Trust issues were over the roof, and had to recalibrate my brain a lot so that we don't unintentionally abuse other people too. What a beautiful way to turn that around. This other person replied, I still have them. I break down randomly when I get triggered. Sometimes I don't even know what triggers me. I recently started bawling in the MRT. Haven't taken one in a long time. Someone else said, still afraid of arguments and confrontation. I shout out my feelings and still bottle it up because I'm afraid to hurt another person or to be hurt. And I'm afraid that no one really cares about me. Again, I'm so sorry that you're going through this even currently. Please know that people do care, that if you reach out, your friends are more than willing and more than happy to be a listening ear. It might feel like that you're a burden, it might feel like you're too much, or that no one wants to hear it, but they do. Your friends do, your family, they do too. I learned that much later, but right now, if you can, talk to someone or DM me, I'll listen. You know, I'm here. Someone else said, I am married and I broke up with him when I was 24, 25. I am almost 33 now and I still have nightmares pretty often. Basically, about the same time frame, same age, and I also do get the nightmares, so yeah. Oof, this one's heavy. Someone said, I had to move states without saying goodbye to many of my friends. I left an entire life behind just to be safe. 2 years later, I still feel shame and guilt for having this need to connect and find love. After all this is what made me vulnerable. He pretended to be everything I ever wanted. I feel like it was all a cruel joke to make me believe I could be loved. I can't trust anyone or feel worthy of being loved. I became hyper-independent and too detached from people as a way to protect myself. And there are days when I hear noises inside of my apartment and I fear that it could be him. I'm so sorry. I hope that you find out how worthy you are of love, and that love can be safe love should be safe. And whether you live the rest of your life by yourself and with friends, or whether someday you find someone, both ways are fine, great, amazing. I just hope that you know you are worthy of love and you don't need to be fixed. You're not broken, you're not damaged goods. You're perfect the way you are, and you are definitely lovable. You are definitely lovable, I swear, on my life. This other person said, I still have no confidence in my own thoughts and ideas, even when I built a business for my significant other. Told you this topic would be heavy, but jeez. The next question I asked was if there was a particular incident that stood out or scarred you the most. The first person replied that the second sexual abuse that I had to bring myself to a free clinic to get checked for STDs. I've been there. It's really scary. It's very embarrassing, even though it should be totally destigmatized. It's better to be safe than sorry. It's better to find out than to not know. I was winning a card game and he tried to change the rules so I wouldn't. We argued, and TLDR, he choked me and tried to slam my head into a wall. Ironically, he sent me an email 3+ years later apologizing and saying I was the best thing that happened to him and that he was scarred from his daughter's mom cheating on him. The emoji came with this. Yeah. This other person replied, my eyes were bruised shut. My body was in so much pain. The police said this was the first time I reported it, so nothing can be done. Just call them when it's actually happening or video it down next time. Unfortunately, this still goes on. There are so many episodes and cases of domestic violence, sexual assault, that if you don't have proof, you don't have a case. And it fucking sucks that this is the situation, and I think if you are in any way able to lobby for change in the law system or in the police system, please do something. Please do something. There are so many girls out here, and men as well, who are being assaulted sexually, who have been abused, whether it's by family members, whether it's by friends, whether it's by strangers, and we have no case because we have no proof. And that's just insane. I don't know how to fix it because it's such a complex problem, but people need help, okay? Another response, during secondary school we had a fight on the road about her friend who talked to me wanting to be friends. And she suddenly threw her phone to me and hit my foot with a Nokia 3310, if you know. That phone is unbreakable. So this person, yeah. Not so fun was during a fight, she had a knife or a pen knife and she kept threatening to take her life. She does this for every fight. This guy got so fed up and it escalated so quickly he lost his cool and he ended up slitting his own wrist in front of her just to prove a point to not take life easily. He ended up in the hospital with stitches after that incident, never did it again. With every story, like, my heart breaks more. I'm so sorry you had to go through that. I'm so sorry that you had to take the physical and the emotional pain and to endure that for so many years. I'm so glad you are still alive. I'm so glad you made it. I'm so glad that you didn't die. I'm so sorry I'm crying. I just couldn't stop. Yeah. Jesus Christ. Someone said being locked out of our bedroom at night because I had smoked when he told me not to, and being badly assaulted once during sex. That's really fun. And it's also fun. Everything is scary. Leaving is scary. Not leaving is scary because we have a child together. Yeah, they're just the words. They are just the words. Um, and then asked, did you learn anything from that relationship? So this person replied, after all 3 abusive relationships, I finally learned the importance of my voice and my gut feeling. Yes, girl! I learned to speak up when I'm uncomfortable and to have the courage to physically say no and walk away. Especially from people who threaten my psychological well-being. I'm so proud of you. Yes, girl. The other person said, don't wait for people to revert to who they were during the honeymoon period. That wasn't them. This is them. And that's so true. You can't change someone. Someone else replied to always keep some / or a lot of love for myself. Yes, do. Please keep. Please love yourself first and then love everyone else later. Someone said, sadly, it's that I'm never enough and that people will always use and manipulate you because they can. So nothing truly positive. Okay, so I'm so sorry that you still feel that way. I really do hope that you find someone to speak with and that you find yourself and that you find a way to trust people again. I didn't believe that I could ever find someone I could trust, and I have somehow ended up with my amazing partner. And while I do still have trust issues, like I wouldn't go into business with a partner because I'm scared. But I hope that you find a way, and I hope that I find a way to trust people, and to open yourself up to love and the possibility of happiness and joy and contentment. And the most important thing is I hope that you know that you are enough. As you are enough. I say it a lot, but really you are enough. Someone else said, choose to claim your self-worth and save some love for yourself. Someone else replied, don't let anyone change who you are. This person said, I learned that untreated trauma puts us in a very vulnerable position. I learned that my tendency to feel attracted to intense beginnings was related to my untreated childhood trauma. Ooh, that is something to unpick. It is such a big, onion of lessons that we will go into some other time, because untreated childhood trauma was also what happened in my life to get me to where I was back then and now. Yeah. This other person replied, I learned that till death do us part is not true even when I did it all correct. I had to learn how to meet people halfway. There's just so many stories that, need to be heard, need to be told. And there are just so many cases of abuse in relationships, whether it's family, romantic, even friendships. Even friendships can be abusive, believe it or not. And if I could just say one thing to end the whole of this very incredibly heavy podcast, is that every time you feel that you are not enough, that you are not capable, that you are not worthy, that you are not valued, you're not loved, you're not lovable, that you are broken or damaged goods, I always go back to nature as my teacher. We had this plant, so if you're on YouTube, you can see this plant. It is ridiculous right now. It's got like 1, 2, 3, 4 leaves going, and it's also supporting a whole other life form, fern. I don't even know where the fern came from. I guess my neighbors, thank you. But when this plant was kept in our room where there was not enough sunlight, there wasn't enough air passing through, all it could do was support one leaf at a time. Every time there was a big leaf and a new leaf grew, the big leaf would die. So in my mind, I just thought that's the best that the plant can do, is one leaf. And when I moved the plant to near our window where there's ventilation, it got heaps of sunlight, I added fertilizer. It's suddenly capable of this constant growth, and not just growth for itself, but the ability to support other, and then a whole other plant that is like even wilder looking than original plants. So if we can take lessons from nature, we are nature. We are basically nature. If you think that mountains are nature, oceans, dogs, cats, guinea pigs, fish, whales, sharks, plants, forests, if those things are nature, so are we. And if those things can thrive in the right environment, so can you. Just because you can only grow one leaf right now, it's not because you're a fucked up plant. It's just that you're in the wrong environment. And if you shift your environment, you don't know what you're capable of. You don't know how big of a tree you could grow into. And you don't know what impact you can make on other parts of nature or other people in your life. So, yeah. This podcast has gone for a fucking long time. Just because it's so heavy and there's so much to say. There's so many stories to share. And we are the generation, you and I, in our age of the 30 pluses, we are the generation that can break the cycle. You can teach your children how to have the right reactions to emotions. You can teach them to set standards for themselves. Teach them to not be abusers. Teach them to not be abusive by not being abusive as parents. Teach them to not take shit from anybody. Teach them to set standards. And hopefully the next generation grows up that learning that they can be loved and that they're lovable and that they're worthy and enough from a young age. And hopefully we can lower the number of cases of abuse. If you're still listening after my very long rambling, thank you very much. It's really gone for a fucking long time, so yeah. Good luck to me editing. Bye!